Oh, sorry, this is good. So, welcome.
Hi everyone, welcome again. My name is Otuk. You probably hear my voice and my emails every day. It's kind of getting annoying sometimes, I know. But I want to thank you for coming to this webinar, this very, very important webinar. We have our Director of Projects, Lauren Bada, who is going to be presenting something around how to write a proper proposal, and she'll be answering all your questions regarding the call for projects proposal that we launched few weeks earlier, few weeks ago. Lauren, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll move on.
Okay, thanks, Sutuk. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to present to you the grant writing or proposal writing, the same. A little introduction about myself. So my name is Nurhan Badr. I'm based in Egypt. I'm physician by training. And then I did Master of Public Health in Lebanon. And now I work at IYFP as a director of project. Mainly my work is related to your project grant, for example, that we are opening to review it, accept it, and then supports you to implement the project. But also if you have any other grant that you are going to apply, I'm happy to review it, provide some technical support to you so we can find more opportunities. As you all know that we are open the grant call for 1,000 US dollars. I know some of you wanted more, but this is the capacity of our organization now, and we are going to fund 5 proposals. So we are looking forward to hear about your ideas. And also, I work as an M&E officer at the Population Council in Egypt, and I'm going to share with you through the presentation my work as and some of the proposals that I work in my project, but also going to share some of our previous CC's work so you get an idea. So this session is going to be some sort of the foundational of grant writing. It's not going to be super technical, and from here we can at the end of the session we can ask anyone if they want to develop more an advanced session. So I hope everyone is hearing me. You can share in the chat area. Let us if you hear me clearly, and let me know if you have any question while we go. I know the voice sometimes be tricky, and I hope it will be clear.
Yeah, so thank you, Lauren. So if you can see the screen and you can hear us, there's a
Mm-hmm.
screen with the presentation written IYFP grant writing August 2018. Can you raise your hand? Rebecca, thank you. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Josephat. All right, so it looks like, thank you, Victor. So it looks like people can see the screen. Thank you, Ali. All right,
Okay.
Lauren, you can continue.
Okay. So I hope that we can have a space where we can introduce each other, but the time limitation is so tight. So I will start moving forward. And if you have any question, please throw it in the WhatsApp group or here in the chat area. Okay. So I'm going to the outline going to be the structure of grant writing, mainly the basics of grant writing, the most of grant proposals that have it. There is different school about proposal and grant writing. We are going to cover the most foundational where you can find it everywhere, and then do and don't while writing the proposal, and we will give a try to give time 10 minutes or 15 minutes as much as I can to cover your questions and answer related in general to grant writing, or if you have questions that are related to our call. So at the beginning, why we write proposals? To virus, there is different replies to why we write proposal. Mainly people get the idea that we write proposal to get fund, to get money basically. But also it's really important why we write the proposal is to draft and to tweak your ideas, because ideas that are in your mind are raw. Writing the idea, writing as a skills itself, it refine your ideas more, it gives you a view, and then it allow other people to read it so they can understand what you want to say. This is writing in general. In terms of why it's important, it organizes your thinking so you understand where the gap is, where you want to develop more. It communicates your experience or your idea to other people. The main purpose is that you want to impress other people by your unique idea or unique methodology that you want to work with, or your unique target group. And then it's basically it's one step to start getting fund or getting money, or sometimes you don't need money and you have the resources, but it gives you a space to bring other people with you to formulate a team that allow you to write the grant. Um, So the structure of grant proposal writing, any project to start usually about the title and then summary, background, problem statement, goals and objectives, methodology slash activities, timeline and monitoring and evaluation, and budget and references. I'm not going to go through references as much as in exhaustive way, but this I put it here in the structure is to allow you or to stress about the importance of adding references. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to write reference in very academic way or very concrete way, but it gives you credibility that you didn't cite or written certain information without saying from where this information you took it. So allow yourself a time when you put a data or you put a numbers or you put a code to at least write from where this quote or this number that you took it. So it give you to allow that you're not stealing someone else's work basically. It's very ethical and very important. And when it came to big organizational funding or big donors, it's really important to put references in your proposal. So the project title of course is very important, give idea somehow to the reader that what this project is about. It sometimes the main idea of is to attract attention or to impress someone by the name. So be creative in the name in general. It should convey what the project about. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it convey what is the project about, but sometimes it be more catchy to make people wondering what is this about. So it doesn't matter most of the time, but usually I prefer that you have a short project title that is attractive and somehow tell a little bit of a story that wants to make me motivated to I want to know more what this is project is about. Usually the project title try to do it the very last thing at the page, because while you write your problem statement, goal and objective and the methodology, your mind is started to know like what you are going to do, and then finally you can put a crown on in your proposal, if I may say, by saying the project title. This is some example. This is the first example of the title. This is the project that I'm currently working in Egypt. So it said expanding the role of private sector in addressing family planning needs of young people in Egypt. And now we have somehow a problem with this long name because we have many projects that are related to family planning now in Egypt, and people are getting lost. The people who are beneficiaries to us, they don't know the name of the project. So if this name of the project was shorter, for example, it will be in or maybe in Arabic, for example, it will be much easier for people to relate to us. And this is from marketing point of view, it helps the visibility of your project. It helps that people know that this project is affiliated to this organization. So marketing wise, funding wise, visibility wise, it's much easier. It's really hard, as you can see, like to remember all of this. Could be the change. It could be she for her. If you know various examples of projects that are around us. The second one is one from our CCs promoting reproductive and family planning for rural women and girls at risk. Somehow both names tell stories, tell the target group, here young people in Egypt, downstairs is the rural women at risk, doesn't refine where, it could be in Uganda, it could be in Egypt, it's not clear. Uh, it, it's very important, it's talking about family planning, so somehow project title, it could be whatever, it could be as big as this, or it could be short and creative and catchy, it depends on your donor or your target group. And background, mainly the background is starting to tell me, it should be able to tell me what you have already done, who participated, who beneficiary. So this aspect is mainly if you are organization and you have done some work. So IYFP, if we want to describe our work, our what we have done before, our contribution, but mainly from your work, if you are applying background, tell me what is this this project about, what is the problem, or not necessarily the problem, background about the country, the structure, how many young people are there. It could be about the financial situation, if there is a conflict, if there is certain environmental factors that are affecting. So the background mainly is give me an overview about the country or the target group that I'm going to hear their problem next. So the background usually is before the problem statement. It doesn't have to be clear about the problem in the background, but it give you an overview before I tell, here's my problem. So the problem statement, it should be usually people poorly written the problem statement, and this is for any donor. This is the one of most important aspect in the proposal. If you write long name or short name of the project title, it will not affect the grading system, for example, or the criteria to evaluate your project, but the problem statement will affect it. So you are trying to convince the funding source that you understand the need and you have some tools to help the problem. You need here to cite by evidence. It's very, very important that you don't say young people in, for example, in Uganda, lack family planning services. This is a very generic statement and it doesn't mean anything. Like you have to cite from local data sets, from DHS, Demographic Health Survey, from WHO, UNFPA, any kind of report. You try to say by statistics and by numbers that what is the problem here, and it's not a generic. So you demonstrate there is a need, and then you can also in the problem statement from your own experience, from the organization that you work in, or you had programs or projects that you had done before, that you say from the experience that we work in, also it convey the same needs that match the statistics, or there is much more problem in this aspect, or this statistics can be explained from our local or from our ground work by 1 to 3. So it's important to that the problem that you are trying, that you um, have an idea how to solve it, and it's very important that you say where is the gap, what is your idea going to solve this problem, and it's really important if you going to apply for a big grant that you dissect the problem, that you are saying there is, for example, access to family planning. It could be because family planning methods are far away from your home, or it could be because it's very expensive, or sometimes because the healthcare providers are not there, or it could be because the quality of the service provided is not good enough. So So people don't want to go to access family planning, or it could be that people don't know from where they access family planning. There is 5 problems that make people, young people, for example, don't access family planning methods. So you want to dissect it, and from here you say that you are going to work on the quality, or you are going to work on the increasing the knowledge, or you are going to work that you want to create more demand. So because sometimes people try to say that this is the problem and I'm going to solve it all during my project, and it's not applicable. So don't assume that no one else have ever thought of your idea. Sometimes we exaggerate about the creativity of our idea, but now ideas are everywhere, so people know it. Don't assume that people know about your country. It's very important when you apply for international organization or funding. It's really hard that the people who are evaluate know every country and know the challenges in every country. So try to elaborate more about your country, your target group problem. The problem is that it really establish, it give me an idea what you are going, like your way, what is the project goal and the objective going to be. And it's really important to incorporate the guideline of the proposal, and we are going to talk more about it. So this is a really big example from OPCO, our CC, our alumni CC. This is one of his grants. He tried to say that this is the number of the population in the country. I'm not saying this is that we should follow. This is one of 10,000 way that you can explain your idea. It's not necessarily that you describe Ghana population, but it gives me an idea where the country is, the percentage of young people in the country, the family planning coverage, and then what he think is the problem here and why he think that advocacy is really important. And at the end also he's giving me that this will impact and shape the development of other young people. So he give me more of if this project is implemented, how it's going to make a difference. So first, so the background, and you start with the background and the problem statement and then the goal. And there's too many schools between the goal and the objective, but one of the biggest schools say like the goal is the biggest framework, and then objectives can follow the goal. So both goal and the objective should follow logically. It cannot be saying that your goal is going to do sexuality education, and then I find that your objective is you are trying to do, for example, art and the music activities that are not related to the sexuality education. A goal convey what is the whole project is about. It's very concise statement of the whole purpose. Like the goal could be, this is the goal of the project is to empower young women, for example, to access or to start مثلا, small businesses in this local area or in this community, for example. So there's 2 examples. The first one is coming from the project that I'm working in. It's utilizing the private sector to provide by the family planning and reproductive health information by the Egyptian young people to increase the demand. Here, the other example is to reduce the teenager or unwanted pregnancy. How is going to by providing information and services. So this project is going to work in 2 aspects. They're going to increase the knowledge about, for example, the harm effects of unwanted pregnancy or how to use contraceptions or whatever, but the component going to work in education and another component going to work in services providing to unwanted pregnancy. It could be contraception, it could be abortion, it depends. And from here, the objective state what you are going to do. It describe how you will achieve your goal. It somehow can be from 3 to 4 objectives. Goals usually be 1 or 2. Objectives can be much. So, for example, in our grant, we ask you to write 1 goal or 2 goal, but the objective is maximum is 3. Since our project implementation duration is 4 to 6 months. And then the SMART, I know many of you have heard it 1,000 times, but every time when we evaluate the objective, many people forget to check their objective in front of the SMART. So SMART mainly to be specific, your objective very specific about the target group, where, when, how, measurable. And the idea of being measurable, it allow you when you come later in the monitoring and evaluation, to make your life much easier. So if you're going to say that I'm going to train 20 young women, so one of the indicators if you reach it, the 20 women to be trained or not. This is a very basic, simplest way. So you try as much as you can to make your life easier by providing a measurable objective. It should be somehow clear to the timeline about it. It should be saying by which month it's going to be 3 days training. It's going to be implemented in September, for example. It should be very relevant. It match your goal, it match your problem statement, it match your significance. It cannot be the problem statement is talking about lack of access of family planning, and then suddenly I found objectives that are related for female genital cutting, for example. And then you have to be clear about the timeline. Again, this one slide also explain how to be smart, and the whole smart objective is coming from marketing. You find usually marketing and advertising are very clear about like what they are selling, from where you can access it, the prices of it, how it's relevant, and how it will make difference to your life. Like if you buy this iPhone, if you buy this toothpaste, for example, how this will affect your life. So this is one example of objective, and as you can see is not very smart. So it explained that empowering young people, okay, and it's very good that it explained it's going to be from 14 to 25. So definitions are really important because it tells me that you're going to work with this age group. It tells me somehow it's going to be by policymakers, it's going to be through access, improving the access to family planning, but then it's not time bounded, for example. It tells me somehow the action, it's not measurable. I don't know if the idea of policymaker is going to attend by one policymaker, or which one going to governmental or local, or you are going to the ministry. So you try as much as you can to be very specific with your objective. So the methodologies or the activity, basically you tell a story. So you set me by saying this is your goal and this is your objective, and how you will move forward from here. You tell me that you are going to recruit, for example, peer educators, and you're going to train them, and then those peer educators going to train other people. And another aspect, if you are working in the service provider, how you will improve the quality. So it tell me how you are going to implement your project. And usually I really like when people are organized in a methodology, and if especially if the project follow phases. So you say in phase one I'm going to do this, and phase two I'm going to do this. And it's really important that the activity will be like how it's going to be conducted, who's going to be conducted. Sometimes when you read the proposal, it's like the training, peer education training, and then you say who's going to do this training. Are they going to recruit a consultant, or they have someone that are experienced in their organization, or our CC by himself or herself going to do um, the activity. And it's going to describe that this training is 3 days, 5 days, when it's going to be, what facility, if they are going to use certain manuals, or they already have, or they're going to develop manuals. So it's really important to be more descriptive and write a lot in the section that are methodology, but also in very specific way. So it makes the reader understand what you are going to do. Timeline, Gantt chart is one of the tools that you write timelines, and I'm going to show you some proposals that I have. We'll go through it. So it basically, usually Gantt chart for 1 year, 2 years project or more. Tell me in the first month, it dissect your activity. So if your activity is training of peer educator, first you are going to open a call, you're going to recruit peer educator. So in each section here you write like which activities that you are going dissect, and here you can write the whole objective. And then you say like you're going to start in the first month, and sometimes activity follow each other and sometimes it could be parallel. So Gantt chart is one of the ways. Whatever the way, it needs just to be clear to understand which one going to be implemented at which time. Monitoring and evaluation. We are going to have a very own session about monitoring and evaluation, but here I'm going to give you an overview. Somehow monitoring evaluation is related, of course, to your objective, and it tell how the project is going to progress, and when it's finished, how I know that you reached the objective that you say that you mentioned that you are going to implement. So monitoring is a process. It's a systematic process. It's a very academic definition, but monitoring is totally different than evaluation. Monitoring, it goes through the project implementation. It goes through you're collecting and analyzing during implementing the project. It's give indicators if this project is going in the right direction, it's going in the same direction of the objective. While evaluation, it gives you a systematic assessment of the project or the policy or whatever. At the very end, it gives me um, if this project has achieved the result mainly. So monitoring more of quality assurance, if you can say, about what is happening in this project is happening with good quality, and then evaluation also can speak about the quality, effectiveness, efficiency, and somehow one of the strongest tools tell me if I should scale up this intervention or I should make it in other countries or I should stop it. It doesn't make any sense. Peer education to young people and make young people speak about family planning. It doesn't affect, for example, access to family planning because there is much stronger factors that are not related to the knowledge. Youth already have the knowledge, but there is other factor. For example, the stigma around access to family planning for young people. So it tell me how this project is affected or didn't reach the objective. There is different evaluation designs, but mainly the main idea that you mentioned, what is going to be the tool that you're going to use. It could be surveys, it could be pre and post test, it could be very basic, the number of people who attended your project, and it could be comprehensive by doing a big study for knowledge attitude behavior. For example, if you have a big project and you want to assess the impact. So this model, the logic model, one of the famous model that people use during the implementation of the project, and here the input is what you have. You have a staff, you have volunteer, you have money, you have knowledge, you have the capacity, you have manuals. It is the resources that you have in the input. Outputs is mainly talking about the process of implementation of the project. This is the activities, and here also could have in the monitoring. So monitoring mainly focus on outputs. Um, and you work here that you're going to train, you're going to do sessions, you're going to do advocacy plans, and then outcomes where people are usually focused mainly in short-term outcomes. There is a big difference between outcomes and impacts. Mainly outcomes are the direct impact of your project. For example, if you are doing training, after the training, you are going to increase, for example, the level of awareness or the knowledge of the people, of the beneficiaries of your group. But for example, it's really hard to change attitude by just attending a training, for example. Impact more long-term results. If you want your project by just a training or providing knowledge that those young people who attended the training, they reach or they access contraception, you can come after 1 year or 2 years in the area that you did your project and try to find the prevalence of contraception use, for example, or the coverage of contraception or access of young people to contraception. So the impact usually happen when the project is really big, and usually happen also after the implementation of the project by at least 3 6 months. Sometimes it's 1 year. It depends on the model. It depends on how much money that you have and how much the organization capacity in terms of the monitoring and evaluation. So budgeting, it's very important that you budget both. It's very important that you write the table of the budget, but it's very important that you write narrative of the budget, like justify, like you sometimes you find like people write like travel expensive, like $3,000, and then you don't understand why this person is going to travel. So, for example, if you are going to travel from district to district inside your country to do the project, it needs to be explained in the narrative of the budget to justify why you write travel expenses. So it's really important to write like travel expenses, equipment, supplies, operational. Sometimes there you put overhead if it's big amount of money that talks about unexpected or overhead for the organization. Could be the rental for the organizational office. Don't be tight in budget, and also don't be so loose in budget. It's very obvious for people if this that you don't be tight, because sometimes people put tight budget to make their proposal more attractive to donor, but then it will make your life really hard while implementing the project. So it's really important that you don't be too tight while writing the budget, but also be reasonable about it. Pay attention to the limits and the allowance expensive. uh, don't forget to budget to your M&E model. So if you are going to use pre and post test, for example, like write about like you are going to print a pre and pre and post test. For example, if you are going to do it online, if you are going to do a survey, many people forget about writing the budgeting for M&E. And if you're going to write your budget in local currency, make sure to put the rate of the exchange rate. Most of the time, funders sometimes they be flexible about changing money, but it's really important to be clear from the beginning. This is the estimate. It's sometimes attractive if you find the local organization. For example, if you are applying for a grant and saying like, we are not going to charge for renting the hall for the training because my organization going to provide this for free. It makes more attractive for funder, like they are not going to pay for something that is already there, and you are mobilizing the resources of your organization. If you have a local partner with you, it tells that your project most likely going to be implemented because you have more people on the ground with you. Sustainability, it's part that it's not written in the structure, but it's very important to think about the sustainability of your project. What are local partners that or international partners that can support you? Sometimes they can provide you with workshops or expertise or technical capacity. It helps cooperation networking. It make more attractive your proposal, and it's going to be achieved. And also somehow if you it ensures some sort of sustainability of your project. Here I'm going very fast, I know, but we're going to see some examples. So the feature of a strong proposal is going to be well-organized sections proposal. It's very clear here the background, here the objectives, here the the budget. It's well researched. It's very important. The problem statement. It gives me an idea where this project is going. If you are trying to test or do a creative strategy or a new idea, it's very attractive for donors. Sometimes if it's not going to be training anymore, there's something creative that you're going to do. Also, it's very important that it feel like it's the goals are going to be done. It's not big goals for the money or for the time frame of the proposal. Measurable objectives, and also sound evaluation plan. So before I go to do and don't, I'm trying to give you some examples of my work. So here, for example, an example for monitoring and evaluation. It give you the out, so it could be the outcome, it could be your objective, and then the indicators. For example, objective number one going to be training, indicator is the number of people who are going to attend, and then how the method, how I make sure if this is achieved. And you can see also here is the M&E talking about how it need to be smart. Again, methods of verification, for example, that you are going to provide a copy of attendance sheets or photos, and then the frequency, how many times you're going to do this. It's one time or different time, and then baseline and target. So I can give you an example from the project that I'm working on. So this is the evaluation plan. It's a very big project, so don't be afraid of this document. It's very big project. It's 2 years, but it gives you an idea, for example, how for we write here, for example, you can see. I hope that I can make it bigger. Okay, so here you can find the objective. It's one of the objectives is above. For example, demand increase among factory workers. This is the one of the objectives of the project or goal of the project. And then one of the indicator is to increase the percentage of peer educators or facilitator in the factory who will score 80% on post-test. So I'm assuring that people who are going to attend the test or are going to attend my training at least score 80%. And then this is the number is by quarters. And here the methods I'm going to use pre and post test. For example, here another example is the number of factory workers. Sorry, very tricky. Number of factory workers who reached by the intervention by peer. So we ask in our project, we ask a peer educator or peer facilitator after receiving the training that they go to talk to their colleagues and fellow workers about some of the messages about family planning. So the baseline is 0, and then the target, the overall target of the project is to reach 250. And then how we will know this, what is the mean of verification, is the activity and report and the logbook. So we give them a logbook about the project. Here also another example about the percentage of participants who can name 3 family planning methods. So this is through a baseline and end line survey that we are using a phone interview. So we did a baseline. Here it's we know now the number in the baseline, how many people can name 3 methods of family planning, and at the end of the project we hope to achieve 60% of increase. This number is very, very big. I change it because it's very, very big. But also be clear when you put an indicator that you don't be very optimistic about the change that you are going to do. Usually in M&E, you go to check the literature and research about when other people did the same activity, what it was the percentage of a change. So you don't put numbers from your head. In a small project, yes, you can put some numbers of your head, but you are trying to be reasonable. It doesn't make any sense to say you're going to achieve 60% increase of the baseline. If the baseline was there is 50% of young people can name 3 methods of family planning, that you need here 101% to change, which like it's not applicable if you understand my point here. So this is one of the example of M&E plan. I want also to make you see here how the project is written. So for example, here one of the one of the goal is availability and the quality of private sector family planning. And then here it describes the activity. It's going to be training to doctors about counseling, how many people are going to train, who this going to be with the cooperation with who. the nurses, what's going to be the role. So it's more descriptive about what we are going to do to achieve this. Also, mhm. Sometimes you mention the challenges. It depends on the proposal structure, but here we mention the challenges that we are going to face during the implementation and somehow how we can mitigate the risk or do achieve it. I want you to see the Gantt chart of this here. For example, this is the Gantt chart is by quarter, every 4 months is how we are going to achieve. So recruitment, the project stuff from the early beginning, and here we mention also which person is going to be the responsibility of who, and then it's also achieved by here the main objectives and then the activity, and then we dissect the activities in sections. So it's really easy to tell which part or which activity going to be. For example, training and refresher training is going to be from here, for example, till from quarter 3 to quarter 7. Hmm. Okay, so I want also you, there is another example of a proposal. This proposal is her voice proposal. I guess we work it with our CC from maybe I guess he's in the call, Joe. So he write I'm trying to make it. So this proposal is really one of the proposals that it tells story about what he wants to do. Um, and then if you see there's certain specific about like describe the activity of the project in certain word limits. So you need to be precise. Here list your objective, and here he's listing his objective in maximum. And then you put the budget by activity and amount, and then you mention some. So this is one of the proposal that you can write. In terms of the budget, here example for the budget, for example, to write the expenses item, why here instead of the narrative, you explain why this expense is needed, and if they are going to be supported from other areas, the cost in local currency, and then the cost in US dollar. Sometimes you can add here section about the quantity. If you are going to give, for example, per diem for 20 people, so you say like 1 day of per diem equal, for example, $50, and going to be 3 days training, and then it's going to be 20 participants. I have also examples from our CC from Rwanda. So here by quality, by unit cost, and the number of units that he's going to do, and then the budget. So he wrote all the budget, and then you can see the total budget in the local currency. He put somehow indirect cost, and then the local currency is this, and then he clearly explicitly say the the rate in Rwanda for US dollars. So can go back to our presentation. So a strong proposal, it's we discussed this. So do and don't read the guideline. It's really important. It's very frustrating for donors or funders to see that they have written certain instruction that you had to follow and you didn't follow, and it helped you somehow to reach your money. So if they mention certain order of the structure, or they have a certain application word limit, you have to abide by this. Give yourself a really time to go through everything. You can divide the sections. Make sure that you, if there is English mistakes, or if you write something in your local language, you try to explain it between brackets. Go through it many times. Don't write your proposal in 1 day or one time. Like it's 2 hours you're going to write it. Make sure that also you share it with someone else to review it. It really helps. Some like another eye give you like, oh, this is not clear. Can you explain it more here? or sometimes you forget to mention that you have, for example, the resources in the NGO that can help you achieving your objective or achieving your project. Try to explain as much as you can. Um, be very clear about what you are going to do, and don't forget your references. Um, Here I will open space if you have any questions that are related to the projects, writing in general, or you want to see example of certain aspects more. So let me know. And you can, I guess, Utuk, they can open their mics. I'm sorry, I just
Uh,
received the.
Hi. Can you hear me, Lauren?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So thanks for a wonderful presentation. Um, wow, this was incredible. So we're going to be taking questions. You can either write your question on the question box, or if you want to speak, you can raise your hand, and I will unmute you so you can speak. But so far, Norhan, we have a question from Stephen, RCC from Zambia. He's saying, "What are the budget indirect costs?" Can you respond to
Okay.
that?
Okay. So I'm very sorry. I know that my pace usually is very fast. I know I tried to chill a little bit, but I was worried about the time, so sorry. Um, I guess it's recorded and to going to share the presentation and record. So the indirect cost here example. So you okay. So usually indirect cost, if it's not clear, it give you about, like, for example, sometimes people use for unexpected. It could be indirect cost. If you direct cost usually is related to if you're going to give money for fees, for example, for a consultant, and the indirect cost sometimes it's used to if you're going to rent a hall or you are going to print certain printing, but sometimes also people use it to indirect cost, as here as example, as overhead or unexpected, and usually it should not exceed from 3 to 5%. This is well known. Um, Sometimes the overhead is related to renting, and if it's big project, for example, so the overhead in a project that I work in could be from 3 to 5%. It's about 4 million US dollars, so it's big number, but it's usually goes to renting for example, the organization space, internet, all the logistics that make the organization is working. So usually people use overhead or indirect cost that is 3 to 5%.
Thank you. Um, Another question from Rebecca, RCC from Canada. She's asking, she's wondering if there is any parameter around these grants. Like, are we looking for an in-person workshop or something specific? I'm sure she's talking about
I
the project grants that we
uh,
just launched.
No, so usually if you are talking about our call, we it could be advocacy, it could be trainings. It's up to you the methodology. We would love to see creative methodologies. The themes also is open for SR, could be family planning, it could be female genital cutting, it could be a portion, depend on the needs and the problem that you have in your country. So it could be abortions, teen pregnancies. So we are, I don't think it took if you can follow up in answering this question that we have a very specific methodology.
Mhm.
I
Thank you. All right. So Anissa is saying, I think we need more training for this part, especially for those who will do For the first time, yes, Anissa, we'll be doing more webinars for the grantees um, in the future. Am I right, Norhan?
Yes, and I guess also if you have any grant that you wrote before or you are applying for a grant, I'm happy always to review it and provide feedback. Um, this opportunity, that's why I'm encouraging everyone here to apply because IY is not looking for a perfect proposal. The main objective or main vision of our organization is to build your capacity. So we are not evaluating if you are writing the proposal in very perfect way. Yes, we aim that you, by this training and by other trainings, that you write a perfect proposals, but also we want to support you to implement your idea and also build your technical capacity to write a good proposals and implement the project. So you are not going to be judged very hard, if I can say about the methodology, about the writing, but it make it make easier. It convince me and it convince everyone who's reviewing your idea that it's worth investing in. So if you have an idea, and grant writing usually goes by practicing and applying and getting the rejection and applying more and getting feedback. And also one thing that are unique about IY that we provide a feedback for everyone. So if even you are was not lucky, since we have a very only 5 grants, we are going to provide a written feedback to you about how to improve your idea more, or if your idea was really great but we had a really tight selection. So I guess last year we provided an individual feedback. So I hope that we are going to do more about, for example, M&E by me. I guess Kimar is interested to write to do you budgeting, very exhaustive budgeting. I guess also Shibon might write to you about fundraising. So don't worry.
Mhm. Um, does this project have to be part of your annual work plan? I say yes, because this is one of many options
Yeah.
of funding your work plans. All right, I see 2 hands raised. Josephat, I'm going to unmute you so that you can speak.
I guess one also saying when you said don't forget your references. Sorry. So references is not related to, because some of the application will ask you for recommendation references or people who support that this person is trusted to get funded. But I mean by references here, if you are going to use a number or percentage or putting a statement from any data, that you have to be clear from where that you get this data. For example, if you are saying the prevalence of unwanted pregnancy is in Canada is 15%, I want to know from where that you get these statistics. It cannot be your opinion. It needs to be very trustable source to support um, your your problem statement. So references are mainly, you can say, from WHO, from UNFPA, from domestic health survey, whatever data. If it's a study, I don't want to be very academic, but it's worth mentioning. It's very ethical and very important, and it gives credibility for the person that this person is not saying just generic statistics or generic statements.
Okay, Josephat.
Yes, thank you so much. It was very much, it's really a good grant proposal writing. I really want to thank Otuk as well as Noda for that. I have a few questions that I actually want to ask. I hope it's okay to ask all of them at once.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first question that I wanted to ask was that, in terms of the background, I just wanted to find out, should the background be about myself or and the work that I've done as an individual, or should it be about the background of how the country has managed to address that specific issues that I'm trying to write a proposal for? So that was the first question. The second question, I just wanted to get a clarification between, or the difference between the background and the problem statement. I just want to know what is really the difference between the two.
Mm.
And the next question was, I just wanted to find out also, do I also need to put the smart plan and the timeline, because I saw the chart of the smart plan as well as the chart of the timeline. Does that also need to be in the proposal, or is it just some tips for me to sort of like encompass in all the information that I'm putting in the proposal? And then it's also, the next question is, do I also need to encompass that evaluation form? Because I saw the evaluation structure on how I can do my evaluation. Does that also need to be in that specific proposal or not? And then my last question is there a specific format that is required from us as a CC in terms of structuring our budget outline? Because I know that you showed me different budget outlines. So which specific budget outline would you want us as the CC to sort of like apply for this? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So first about the background. So I want to make sure that I said this in the beginning, that usually there's different schools between people who write abstract. But for example, in term of the background, no, it's not about you or your work. You can write this section in annex at the very last of your proposal, talking about your technical capacity. For example, in this proposal, I'm not sure it's here or in different. Um, No, it's not here. Okay. So if you want to talk about yourself, your capacity or your organizational capacity, it will be very good to be at the annex. You can write section about organization capacity or consultant capacity or your capacity, how you are strong, and make sure that you're going to implement the project. Here, if you can see the example in the project description, sorry, introduction or the background is talking about the fertility. Since it's a family planning project, it's talking about fertility rates. It put references about the problem that we have, and then it described mainly the problems. Um, the project, how the project is going to be implemented, but also they can talk here about, since it's a population council in Egypt implementing the project, it can talk about the project. For example, here, one of recommendation for assessment was reached. So they did a situational assessment before it's considered a project, and they said this was a recommendation from our work, and that's why we want to this recommendation to implement it in our future work. So mainly the background is talking about the situation in the country in terms of the family, the of the problem that you have. Sometimes yes, it could be background and problem statement the same. It could be problem statement and it could be an objective. It's there is no separation. You follow the guideline of the application. So, for example, in our proposal, you find a problem statement and you write about your background, about the issue in general and family planning in general, and then you go more in problem statement. You can write the background very generic about the country and family planning situation, and then the problem among, for example, young people in this local community. So this was your first question, I guess, about the budgeting. I guess we have very simple. Also in the application, it's very simple. You can write whatever. It needs just to be clear about the budget, which item, and how much it's going to cost. So, for example, this is one of the project that we funded. So he wrote the items, the quantity, or what the cost for each quantity, and the total, and then the budget. This is a very easy way because this is the direct cost, indirect cost, and local currency. Since the project is only 1,000 US dollars, it could be more comprehensive when the model are bigger or the money is bigger. For example, for the M&DE question, no, you don't have to be This is one, for example, one of our indicators that we are developing for your projects. We are putting, for example, general knowledge because we don't know your projects. But it will be very, very good if you are going, for example, to do training, to tell me by your objective that how many people going to do and how you're going to make sure that they attended. You're going to provide for me attendance sheets, for example, here. Number of participants. It's very, very basic here. But if you're going to change to increase their knowledge, give me an indicator that you would like to increase their knowledge by 10%, for example, after, before and after. If you want to increase their knowledge that they can name 3 methods of family planning, or they know from where they can access family planning, this is could be an examples. It could be social media. If your project going to be social media, give me an indicator about your social media. So it could like try to work as much as you can, but we are going to develop the M&E structure further more if your idea got accepted. I guess there was a final question. Yes, your objective need to be smart. This is not um, this is not just for to organize your thought. I need to see that you write an objective saying but you are going to do this to this people, the number of your beneficiaries, and in which time frame, and how it's relevant to your goal. And we have section in our grant proposal application about beneficiaries, so you can explain more who's your target group, how it's unique or how it's in need to receive, and how many people we are going to reach by this money. I hope that I answered everything.
Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. So we are 4 minutes beyond time, and I want to be respectful of people's time. So if you want to jump off, that would be okay. But I see a couple of like 2 hands more, so I'm gonna give them some time. If you want to hang out and listen to the answers, then that's fine. But if you want to go, that's okay too. Steven, I have unmuted you. You can speak now.
Yes, Atu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I have 4 quick questions. One has to do with the project direct and indirect costs. I would like you to elaborate more on those. And then the second one is you did touch it a little bit, but I would like you to add more flesh on the target beneficiaries and the indirect beneficiaries. Then the other one is in terms of attachments. Is it okay to submit the entire project proposal as a document, or we just have to submit it? Or in terms of budgeting, because there's a component talking about budget, is it okay if the budget can be submitted in a document form rather than that part where you are asking for us to add the budget? And then the last question is about the previous CC. I read a report 2 days ago for the project that she implemented, and I would like to find out, she did some trainings, and my question is, uh, will it affect my project if I also propose to do some trainings just like she did, or simply because she trained some people, probably have to think of other things? I think those are my questions. Thank you so much. I hope you got them.
Yeah, I guess I lost the last one, but I'm going to answer them and then you can write the very last one. So again, direct costs are the costs that I really directed to the projects. It's going to be the transportation fees, it's going to be the training, renting the hall, whatever, that are related to the 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 money for the project. Indirect cost is mainly the overhead. Let's just stick to the easiest way. It's a 3 or 5%. It could be unexpected. For example, sometimes we try to budget for everything, but we forget budgeting for sometimes unexpected item. It cannot be more than 3 to 5%. This is direct and the indirect cost. Yes, you can attach your budget, for example, in Excel sheet or a different document, but also you need to fill it. So you need to fill it in the application, but you can attach a document to explain it more if you feel that Excel sheet will do justice to explain your work. Also, you can, if you want, yes, you can write, like if you want to write more or explain more about your idea, to attach your proposal as an attachment, but you have also to fill the application. So everyone, you need to fill the application structure, and then in attachment, if you want to add M&E model, it's fine. If you want to add budgeting, it's fine. We, it's up to you. Um, I'm not sure
Yeah, I
if
think so.
I answered everything.
I think the last question was about whether he can do trainings the same way the previous CC did. Yes, so if your project involves training, you can put it. It's okay. Steve, you're saying you're missing something. I think you could probably follow up privately if you have some more questions about the indirect costs. Can provide
Yeah, so
you.
I will.
Yeah,
So I'm
you
leaving my
can send
email
us.
here also.
Huh?
No, I'm just saying I'm leaving my email here as you see it in the presentation, and you have Took email if you have any question that you can apply. Is about what I can do in relation to the previous CC did. Ah, okay. So you want to build on the previous work of the other CC. I don't know if you have did I'm not sure. Do you have a connection with him, or you want this through us? Or you can email us if we want to, if you want to know what the previous CC did in the last project and you didn't had a meeting with him or her.
Yeah, I mean, if it makes sense, then it's fine. I mean, if you see that there's a connection and it has to be done, then there's no problem with that. So I'm going to give Noel a time to speak. He's going to be our last person for the day. Noel, you're muted. You can speak now. Oh, you just mute yourself. Can you unmute yourself?
Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Noel. I am from Chad. Sorry about my English. It's not really good. And congratulations for the presentation. I want to just know. I already sent my grants, and I want to ask how about to our for those who are English speakers, if you can translate the document for in English so it can help us for those who are speak English. So
You mean
that's all.
translation of the presentation or translation of the proposal?
Not for the presentation.
The present, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So I guess we have a francophone.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
we can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
totally fair.
Thank
I
you.
understand you. It's very important.
All right. If that is all, then thanks everybody for coming. This is so far a webinar that was attended by so many of you. So I'm glad you find this very useful. Please stay tuned for the slides and for the recording if you want to listen to it again. Otherwise, I want to wish you a very good weekend. And thank you, Lauren, for a very fantastic presentation.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you for your participation. And don't forget the deadline.
Yep. Don't forget to apply.
Goodbye. See you.
Bye.